everybody, it is Monique here. This is the month of Unbothered or non resistance. And actually, every day in your life, every moment in your life, it is best to aim for unbotheredness, being depolarized, how they say it in magic, and just being super relaxed. Because from that state, anything and everything easily flows to you. This is from Florence Scovel Shinn's book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, and it ties in perfectly with what we are focusing on this month: strengthening your unbothered muscle. The chapter is called The Law of Non-Resistance, and I'm going to read a couple of parts from this chapter. Nothing on earth can resist an absolutely non-resistant person. The Chinese say that water is the most powerful element because it is perfectly non-resistant. Isn't it Bruce Lee that says, "Be water, my friend"? By the way, that's not what that's not part of this book. It can wear away a rock and sweep all before it. Jesus Christ said, "Resist not evil," for he knew in reality there is no evil. Therefore, nothing to resist. Evil has come of man's vain imagination, or a belief in two powers, good and evil. There's an old legend that Adam and Eve ate of Maya, the tree of illusion, and saw two powers instead of one power, God. Therefore, evil is a false law man has made for himself through psychoma or soul sleep. Soul sleep means that man's soul has been hypnotized by the race belief of sin, sickness, and death, etc., which is carnal or mortal thought, and his affairs have outpictured his illusions. A side note, Seth also says that we hypnotize ourselves into believing false beliefs. Everything that is a belief, be it false or good, that's a belief now because of self hypnosis. Repetition, acceptance of a thought is self hypnosis. Okay, let's continue with what it says in this book. We have read in a preceding chapter that man's soul is his subconscious mind, and whatever he feels deeply, good or bad, is outpictured by that faithful servant. And whatever he feels deeply, good or bad, is outpictured by that faithful servant. Both Seth and Neville speak to this. Neville says feeling is a secret, and Seth says that anything has a stronger chance of outpicturing. His body and affairs show forth what he has been picturing. The sick man has pictured sickness, the poor man, poverty, the rich man, wealth, and people often say, why does a little child attract illness when it's too young even to know what it means? I answer that children are sensitive and receptive to the thoughts of others about them and often outpicture the fears of their parents. I heard a metaphysician once say, if you do not run your subconscious mind yourself, someone else will run it for you. Mothers often unconsciously attract illness and disaster to their children by continually holding them in thoughts of fear and watching for symptoms. A woman who required money and who knew the spiritual law of opulence was thrown continually in a business way with a man who made her feel very poor. He talked lack and limitation, and she commenced to catch his poverty thoughts, so she disliked him and blamed him for her failure. She knew in order to demonstrate her supply, she must first feel that she had received. A feeling of opulence must precede its manifestation. It dawned upon her one day that she was resisting the situation and seeing two powers instead of one. So she blessed the man and baptized the situation success. She affirmed, as there is only one power, God, this man is here for my good and my prosperity. Just what he did not seem to be there for. Soon after that, she met through this man a woman who gave her for a service rendered several $1,000s. And the man, he moved to a distant city and faded harmoniously from her life. Make the statement. Every man is a golden link in the chain of my good. For all men are God in manifestation, awaiting the opportunity given by man himself to serve the divine plan of his life. Bless your enemy, and you rob him of his ammunition. His arrows will be transmuted into blessings. Before I go on, you do not have any enemies, and you do not have to bless any arrows unless you believe that there are arrows, because everything you believe is true. And also, everyone is a reflection of you. Everyone is you pushed out, as Neville says it. And as Bashar says it, everyone is a reflection of your energy. You have your version of a certain person in your reality to show you something about you. And I'll get to that in a second, because also Florence Scovel-Shinn speaks to this. She's speaking to one ships come in over a calm sea. So long as man resists the situation, he will have it with him. If he runs away from it, it will run after him. For example, I repeated this to a woman one day, and she replied, "How true that is. I was unhappy at home. I disliked my mother, who was critical and domineering. So I ran away and was married. But I married my mother, for my husband was exactly like my mother, and I had the same situation to face again. Agree with thine adversary quickly." That means agree that the adverse situation is good. Be undisturbed by it, and it falls away of its own weight. None of these things move me is a wonderful affirmation. The inharmonious situation comes from some inharmony within man himself. When there is in him no emotional response to an inharmonious situation, it fades away forever from his pathway. Again, this speaks to how Bashar says circumstances don't matter, only state of being matters. Your circumstance is created by a state of being. So the inharmony within man himself, or the harmony, depends on what you're seeing, because luckily life is not only intense. So we see a man's work is ever with himself. People have said to me, "Give treatments to change my husband or my brother." And I reply, "No, I will give treatments to change you. When you change, your husband and your brother will change." Exactly what Neville and Bashar say too. Neville says, "No one to change but self." And Bashar says, if we don't react to a certain situation anymore, that maybe is a repetition of something, and you know you have changed within yourself, because he says everything comes from you. You know you have changed, and you see an echo of something and you don't respond anymore, then physical reality has no choice but to change, because change is not what happens on the outside. Change is how you respond to what happens on the outside. So I'm going to end it here. If you're interested in more of this wisdom, Florence Scovel Shinn, get her book. I have a book with multiple books in it, 4 complete books: The Game of Life, The Power of the Spoken Word, Your Word is Your Wand, and The Secret of Success. And I kind of pick and choose whenever I feel like I love to read some of this beautiful knowledge. Because the path of a conscious creator, just like with yoga, is one that asks for commitment. You cannot read this once and then think it's a part of you. Just like you cannot do an asana once and think that you've nailed it. It is continuously reading, exploring, integrating, practicing it, testing it out for yourself. A fit mind, it creates a beautiful body and an epic life. I will see you in the next video tomorrow. Oh, by the way, if you're curious about the doggy, this is Max. Max is really enjoying cuddles, and as you can see, completely unbothered by anything as long as he gets his cuddles. And I took care of Max when I was visiting the island of Mornington in Australia. This is it, my lovely people. I will see you tomorrow. Much love.